against Gillingham. A very, very difficult game. A game in which we need 3 points in. That Carl Robinson did do sort of a sneak preview thing before his press conference yesterday, potentially hinting that there could be a new player on the way. 72% of you that watch the content are not subscribed. First of all, what are you doing? Hello everybody and welcome back to the Young Fan Podcast. Today we are previewing a game. I know it's a bit strange, we've done a preview with no match reaction and now another preview. If you didn't watch the last episode of the podcast, we were talking and discussing what happened in what has been happening in the last sort of week. Oxford United in terms of vice chairman leaving the club, obviously our game being postponed, hence why obviously there hasn't been a match reaction. And also our penalty win in midweek as well. If you missed that, definitely recommend checking that out as well. That's sort of what's happened in between the last episode of the podcast. But we're back. A week later, we are back with an episode of the podcast, and this one being the match preview, the look ahead for Oxford United's big game this Saturday, or so I say tomorrow, against Gillingham. A very, very difficult game. A game in which we need 3 points in. We're behind in terms of games. I know it's not our fault, but we are playing catch up now with one game sort of not being played and it being postponed. So we're playing a little bit of catch up. We need to come out and turn things around. We haven't started the season very well. We've won two. We wish we had. We'd lost two and won one. But this is our chance to turn things right around. So today, of course, in the preview, what we do is we talk about what we look at the press conferences, or the media talk with the players. Today, it's been just Carl Robinson. I'm recording this midday on, just after midday on Saturday. Friday. So hopefully this comes out sort of still in the afternoon, evening sort of time. And you know, in that time, there might be a chance that we do see potentially some of the players come out and do interviews. But the time that I'm recording this, this is the time now where just Carl Robinson has done his media duties. In terms of injuries, though, in terms of who's back from injury, we've got three big things. And three big players back from injury. Gorin's back, of course, and Josh Ruffles, and Winnall is in line to make his debut after obviously joining the club with a sort of shortened pre-season and the lack of first team training for a little while now. So Winnall is back in the squad. What should I say? Back in the squad. The first time for Oxford United, but back in a Football League squad that he hasn't been in for a little while. So Winnall's back and looks like he could be making his debut. Ruffles is back as well, which is huge, and so is Gorin as well, which is very, very important. And obviously three big players there that are going to make a difference, I'm sure, in this game. In my opinion, I'd start two of them. I would start Gorin and Ruffles. I wouldn't start Winnall because I think Taylor in that game against Accrington, I think he started scoring goals. He looked very, very dangerous when he started playing with some confidence and started scoring some of the goals. So in my opinion, I would keep Taylor in the lineup. I know some people are saying start Winnall, give him a game. I wouldn't do that straight away. He's just coming back from match sharpness. It won't happen. I'll be very, very surprised if Carl Robinson puts him straight into the lineup. I can't see it. So Gorin and Ruffles, in my opinion, should be the two starting. I think he's going to have to be forced into playing Gorin, to be honest. Ruffles, because of the lack of defensive cover we've got. So I think Ruffles should definitely step in at left back. Another reason why I think he should come in as well is because Rob Atkinson, of course, is injured, which is another reason why I think Sam Long will probably end up playing centre back today. Which is obviously a reason, tomorrow, which is another reason why I think we need to play him left back, so we free up just Sam Long from that defensive area and defensive cover that he's been putting in at left back, which I think he's done a decent job in. But now Ruffles is back, I think we should definitely put him at centre back, because I doubt Rob Atkinson is going to be available for the game. He could be. He didn't train on Friday. He had a precaution scan. Nothing has come back yet. We should be having the results today. Obviously, but we don't know about that yet. Obviously, when Oxford United find out, I'm sure they'll let us know. But until then, obviously, we won't know. But hopefully, it is something not too drastic to worry about. But you just don't know, of course. You simply don't know these sort of things. Of course, we didn't know how long. We thought Gorin was going to be out for a few weeks. It turns out, or actually, when it first came out, about a week. It turns out he was out for a month. And it could be the same with Atkinson. It looks quite minor and turns out to be quite major. But we hope that isn't the case because we really need Rob Atkinson as he is our sort of I guess, first team centre back now, with Dickey gone. So it's really important that we try and get him back into the squad as quickly as quickly as we can. Obviously, when it's safe, and obviously when he is recovered properly. We don't want players in the lineup carrying knocks, because we know what happens when that happens, don't we? Sean Clare. Obviously, if you don't know what that reference was towards, that's pretty clear that obviously Sean Clare was carrying a knock against Sunderland, and continued to play through that knock, and obviously put in a really bad performance due to that. So hopefully that isn't the case for Rob Atkinson. Hopefully he's honest, and hopefully the doctors, and obviously we've signed a new doctor today as well. Our new first team doctor has come in. Hopefully, maybe after some meetings with him and after some real discussions about it, we can get Atkinson safely back into the starting lineup. But in my opinion, I don't think he's going to start. I think Sam Long will start. So that should be very, very interesting. In terms of Gillingham then, if you're a Gillingham fan watching the podcast or listening to the podcast today, welcome along. Of course, you've lost your first game of the season, but since then are unbeaten with 2 wins and a draw. For Oxford, obviously only 3 games played, but 2 losses and a win. We need to get those 3 points, and we need those 3 points quick. Obviously, the last game that Gillingham played was a draw, so they're not coming in with a win, but they're not coming in with a loss either. So they're going to be hungry to get a goal, get a win, which will hopefully come from scoring a goal, or more than that as well. But if we keep a clean sheet as well, we haven't done, of course, that this season so far. In my opinion, I'd love to see a clean sheet for Oxford this season and a few goals as well. That isn't my prediction. I'll do my prediction at the end. I think that is something that we really need as confidence as well for the back line, and get a nice little clean sheet as well. So we need to win. It's a must-win game. Of course it is. It's so important that we go out there and we get those 3 points, because ultimately we're playing a bit of catch-up at the moment. So like I said earlier, we need to come back with the 3 points, and today and also tomorrow is a great opportunity to do just that. The rearranged crew game, of course, is on Tuesday. We mentioned that in the last episode of the podcast, but I'll stress again, this game is a must-win. It is a huge game for Oxford. And Gillingham, though, they're not going to be a brush over, they're not going to be a pushover by any stretch of the imagination. We're going to have to be at our best to beat this side, but I think we can. I really, really do think we can. In terms of Carl Robinson's notes then, he said he's enjoying the challenge of the unknown at the moment. What he meant by that is obviously the away sort of situation. Obviously, we're in when you're an away side. I didn't know this until then, but I'm pretty sure you are literally changing in Portakab and things. Literally because you can't go into obviously the dressing rooms when you're the away side. So that's going to be very, very interesting. Gillingham have got a crowd noise in the ground as well, a pretty relevant comment, but I thought I'd note it down because that could be interesting and could certainly be, maybe an influence on Oxford United positively or negatively. I'm sure we'll find out tomorrow, but what I think they mean by that obviously is that not other many clubs at all, and why it's such an important note is because really we haven't had that. We didn't even have that in the playoff game. We certainly haven't had that in any of the games we played so far this season. So this, of course, is interesting. I didn't know that personally, and nor did Carl Robinson, I don't think. But I think that could be a difference. Obviously, they're not going to be singing Oxford chants. It's going to be pretty much Gillingham all the way through. So it's going to be interesting, and hopefully that doesn't faze us too much. But either way, we've got to get the points, and I don't think we can use that as an excuse if it doesn't go our way. But I'm sure it will go our way, and I've got confidence in all the way for the boys tomorrow because ultimately we need to do it. So hopefully we certainly can. In terms of injuries, like we already said there, and availability, everyone's fit, and that is what Carl Robinson has said, other than, of course, Rob with a precaution scan but didn't train on Friday, and, of course, Massinio is out as well. Other than that, there's a full selection and a full available list for all players, which is going to be interesting, of course, because we've got a pretty big squad. Robinson also said the players will be left out of the squad, and he is not afraid to make space for new players to come in with a large number that we've got because of a big number of available players and players in the squad as well, which is very, very interesting for Carl Robinson. It really is, because ultimately, that is a very, very blunt comment, and also a very, very straight to the point, which I guess is blunt as well, but I think brutal, and certainly I understand where he's coming from. A few people took it a different way. I take it as the sense that if you don't pull your weight and you don't play in the way that Carl Robinson wants you to play it, and that's 100% effort and giving it your all and playing well, you'll be dropped, and that's as simple as that. It is obviously difficult. Of course it is. It is very, very difficult to take, and some people can look at that in a different way. But I think he's got to be, he's spot on with that. because ultimately the way that this is, and the way that it is for me personally, it's the same as it's a bit similar to last season in the sense that in January when we lost those two players, we needed to come back. We needed to strengthen, and we needed to bring players in. We brought in obviously Marcus Brown on loan. We brought in Holland on loan as well. So of course we did need to bring those two players in, and that's how we strengthened the squad and sort of pushed us on to get to playoffs. For Oxford this season, it's difficult because we've got a very large squad. We've got a squad of players that on their day can be good, but haven't been good this season. If we'd won 3 of our 3 games to start of the season, I think Carl Robinson wouldn't be saying this sort of thing. I think he'd be very, very honest and very, very open still. But I don't think he'd be saying stuff about we might have to. I'm happy to make places for the players to come in. Now that means obviously, literally that, and it does mean not so literally. I mean, literally it does mean for registration you can't go in with an unlimited amount of players. I mean, I think you technically can, but obviously for those players they won't ever play. I think we can put in a squad of 99 players for the season for EFL rules. Obviously 99 players are not going to play in the season. So I guess what he means by that, I generally think what he means by that really is the players that aren't pulling their weight, and the players that aren't doing what Carl Robinson wants them to do, which ultimately is performing well and what we want them to do. They will leave, and he's happy to let them go. Who they are, it's difficult because obviously we're looking at, in the sense of it's 3 games, Carl Robinson sees them every single day in training as well. In terms of defenders, I mean, we can't really make any space in defending, in the defender section. I'm looking at it right now. Every single one of those players are important to our defence. Elliot Moore, of course, is probably our main centre-back. Massinho is our only cover centre-back, to be honest, our only cover main centre-back, other than Sam Long, but he plays all over the shop. Sean Clare's our only real right-back, other than Sam Long, but again, he's playing everywhere as well. Josh Ruffles is our only real left-back, other than Sam Long. And obviously Rob Atkinson is our main partner with Elliot Moore. So to bring players in, he's going to have to, if he wants to bring another centre-back, which is an area he does want to strengthen, that does obviously mean that, he's going to have to, take a player out from either midfield or one of the forwards to be able to maybe bring in another defender, because we certainly do need some defensive cover as well, because if Sam Long gets injured, what do we do now? If Sam Long gets injured and Rob Atkinson's out for a little while, can't play for any other reason, for a few games, suspension, whatever, because suspensions will come later down the line. What do we go from there? We're lucky we've got Sam Long, who can play in multiple positions and is a certain helpful member of the squad. Well, we have got quite a few midfielders, and that is, we look at them. I mean, we look at them in this way. I mean, Gorin, of course, is a huge part of the squad and very, very important. Bradley Good, I don't need to do too much explain on that. We know how important he is. Mark Sykes as well, and Mark Sykes is a difficult one, to be honest, because I don't think at times he has pulled his weight, but then there's games where he turns out to be fantastic. I think in the playoff game he was very, very good as my man of the match in the playoff game, not just because of the goal, but this season he has started quite slow, to be honest. He has started quite slow. He's obviously had this whole thing about the international duty thing and changing there. A few people have said that that could affect someone mentally, and I'm sure it is. But another end of the scale, if we're looking at football, I don't think he started the season as well as he would want to, but I don't think he's going to go. I think Mark Sykes is safe. Carl Robinson and Sykes do seem to get along very, very well, as do most of the players here, and I'm pretty sure all of them come across that they have a good relationship with Carl Robinson. But you have to look at pulling their weight. Each player's got to be an important player in this side. Mark Sykes 2 seasons ago, when Carl Robinson first really came here, he was a player that he was going to loan out. Injuries and working hard, and a mix of both of them, were a reason why Mark Sykes is still in the squad today and still a part of Oxford United today. So it's difficult because Mark Sykes is an important player. So I think he is safe. I think he is a player that we got to keep an eye on this season, but he hasn't started the season as well as he should have done, and I think could have done. But he's got plenty of time to turn that around. We're only 3 games in, but Mark Sykes, I think he is safe. I don't think that's a player that Carl Robinson will be looking to move on. Anthony Ford's the next one. To be honest with you, I think Carl Robinson wants to keep Anthony Ford. Do I think Anthony Ford is happy, to be honest, at Oxford United? I don't know. I really don't know, because I think Anthony Ford deserves to play more than he has been. I think Anthony Ford generally does deserve to be playing more than Anthony Ford is playing. Not at right back. I'd rather say in midfield or going forward. We've got quite a big selection of players that can play in midfield. We've got a lot of midfielders, like we mentioned there, and there's more still to list. But I also think he's a quality player that's really, really underrated at Oxford United. Ever since that sort of last season at the start of it, and obviously with the injury as well, he struggled to get back into the team. He played a bit of right back. I wasn't really too keen of him playing right back, and nor clearly was Carl Robinson long term. As obviously brought in Sean Clare, but I think Anthony Ford. I don't know if he's. I like Anthony Ford, and so does Carl Robinson. He's a really helpful member of the squad, really, really positive guy, and a player that can play in a multiple amount of positions. Do I think Anthony Ford wants to stay at Oxford United? It's difficult because he does come across like somebody that wants to play more, and that when he does play, he does put a good shift in. He played very, very well in that game against Watford when he came in against Accrington. I thought he did really, really well in there as well. Really, really impressed with both of those performances. So it's difficult. It really, really is quite difficult. I like Anthony Ford, but I understand there's a lot of competition in midfield at the moment. Joel Cooper's an interesting one, I think, because I'm not going to go for everyone. I think Joel Cooper's fine. I know this all started about, I was mentioned that he's probably is willing to move players on to bring new players in midfield. Joel Cooper's of course fine. I'm expecting big things from Joel Cooper going forward. I think it will come. Marcus McGuane again, in on loan this season. Hasn't started the season extremely well, to be honest, but I think he's done quite well. Jamie Hansen, if I'm being honest, is probably the main candidate, in my opinion, that probably will go. Because I think Jamie Hansen's a player that can play right back, he can play right back, he can play in midfield. It's difficult with Jamie Hansen because we brought him in for quite a big fee, if I'm not wrong. We fully bought Jamie Hansen for actually a decent fee. I'm reading it now. We paid an undisclosed fee, but I'm pretty sure we did say it was quite a big figure for him. And we did and Jamie Hansen is a really, really important player, and a good player, 100%. But it's difficult because it's difficult with Jamie Hansen. It really is quite difficult because on his day he can be good. I'm sure he can be really, really good, but we just haven't seen enough of it at Oxford. When he got injured for quite a long term, it was quite difficult. He signed a 4-year contract when he joined. A tough tackling defensive midfielder who can also play right back. It's difficult, to be honest, because I like Jamie Hansen. I think he has got a future at Oxford United, but does Carl Robinson? It's an interesting one for sure. Napper's obviously gone out on loan to Woking, so he's not part of the squad at the moment. Liam Kelly is in on loan as well. I think I've been quite impressive with Liam Kelly at times this season. I think he hasn't started the season as well as a lot of people might have thought. But I think if you look at his performance in depth, especially in the second half of most games, I've been really impressed with Liam Kelly. I think he looks like a really, really good player, and really happy to have him back in the squad this season. In terms of forwards, Carl Robinson isn't too worried about bringing in new forwards. I think he's more worried about midfielder and defensive cover, and he said that it would be a nice thing to have another forward going. I was going to say nice forward going forward. It would be nice having another attacking player in the transfer window. Whether or not we can do that, I don't know. But Robert Hall or Robbie Hall. Obviously, looks like he could be making his way back into this Oxford United sort of core part of the plans at Oxford United. I think he deserves a start tomorrow as well. He had a really good performance as well. Matty Taylor as well. He's not going anywhere, of course. I'm happy with Matty Taylor scoring some goals now, of course, getting back into form. Sam Winner, of course, is now fit. James Henry, of course, is now fit as well. Dan Adji, of course, is now fit. Dylan Asongai is a player that I don't know if we're ever going to see in Oxford United shirt, to be honest with you. And Derek Osai as well. And obviously we know the coaching staff of Carl Robinson, Gray Shaw and Wayne Brown. Obviously, that's irrelevant. But in terms of players going out of those attackers, I can't see any of them, to be honest with you. Dan Adji, I wouldn't be surprised if Dan Adji... It's weird, the one with Dan Adji, because Carl Robinson doesn't tend to like starting Dan Adji. He doesn't like to start Dan Adji, to be honest. He likes bringing Dan Adji off the bench, which I can understand to an extent, but I do think at times Dan Adji does get a little bit unfairly treated in terms of, I think when he does start, he really does offer something different. I haven't put him on predicted lineup today, of course, as you can see on the right or the left side of the screen. I haven't put him in today, but I think he can play, and I think it could be a game that suits him. A game where it comes in the top, he wins most headers, he wins 99% of the headers, or 90% of the headers when he does play, out on that width. He's quite a strong, fast lad as well, so I think it could be really, really interesting to see what he can do. I don't know what he means by really. I know what he means, but I don't know who he's really thinking of when he says he's going to be brutal and honest with the players in terms of letting players go in order to free up space to bring these players in as well. I'm not sure what he means by that. I do know what literally he means, but I don't know when I'm thinking of examples of what he means. That's where I'm a little bit lost at the moment. But hopefully for those players as well, they can perform against Gillingham. They can sort of forget what Carl Robinson has said and they can focus on their own game and concentrate on getting the 3 points, because that's what we need, that's what the players need for sure as well. My predicted lineup then, I'm going to whiz through that. My predicted lineup is Eastwood in goal, Clare at right back, Moore and Long as the two centre-halves tomorrow, Ruffles at left back, Goring, Brannigan and Henry as the one in midfield three, Goring coming in for Kelly of course, and a front three of Hall, Taylor and Sykesy. I put Sykes in today because I think he deserves to, does he deserve to play? To be honest with you, I'd like to see Ford play. I would love to see Ford play instead of Sykes, but I don't think Ford's going to play in a more attacking role. I think Ford now is a central midfielder or a right back, so I don't know if he's going to play. So I haven't put him in, but I think he does deserve it. Sykes, Taylor, Hall is probably going to be the front three. We could see Dan Adji in there. The reason why I haven't put Joel Cooper in there, and obviously he is fit, is because of the international situation. I'm not sure what happens there. But other than that, that's my predicted lineup. In terms of business, like we just mentioned there, in terms of players going to bring players in, the only thing really more about that is we know he wants to do business. He wants to do a few more pieces of business this summer. He wants Marcus Brown in as his main target if he's available on loan, and we'd love to see Marcus Brown come back as well. I'm sure I'm speaking on behalf of a lot of Oxford United fans when I say that. Defensive cover as well, he does want to bring in, and he does also say in a midfielder he wants more pace going forward. So that's going to be very, very interesting. Let's see if we do any business in the next few, I doubt it would be next few hours or next few days as well. One interesting thing that I do want to pick up on that's really, really irrelevant probably, but I'm going to say it anyway, is that Carl Robinson did do sort of a sneak preview thing before his press conference yesterday, potentially hinting that there could be a new player on the way. Now, he did something similar when Sam Winner was announced, and the Friday before a Saturday game, we actually announced our last signing. I know Sam Winner was announced before, I think it was before the Lincoln game on a Friday. So we could potentially see some business being done today. Now, I've just also had a tweet. This is live when I'm recording this. Oxford United do need a winger, and Gavin White appears to be out of favour. He wants a specialist left flank player before the window closes. I don't think we're going to see any business today, but watch your eyes on the business. Watch your eyes on that, because Oxford United, they like announcing it on Friday before a Saturday. They like doing sneak previews in sort of match previews for the managers before the game. So this could be really, really interesting. Keep your eyes peeled. We could see a signing coming today. If we don't, we certainly probably will be seeing some business in the next few days before the transfer window closes. Keep your eyes peeled for that, because this could be very, very interesting. The transfer window for Oxford United is now starting to sort of pick back up again now, as we could see some signings being made very, very soon. Carl Robinson does want it. He's been very open that he wants some business done. Hopefully that can happen. Will that change with the vice chairman situation? I don't know. Hopefully not for Oxford United, and hopefully not for Carl Robinson and the fans as well. That's where I'm going to finish this episode of the podcast, and this is where I'm going to finish the Oxford United versus Gillingham preview. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. Gillingham fans, if you're watching this, thank you very much for coming along. Also, I've just had a statistic earlier today that 72% of you that watch the content are not subscribed. First of all, what are you doing? 72% of the people not subscribing. I know I'm saying this at the end of the episode, and it's 23 minutes gone now, so you won't not see this, but 72% of you are not subscribed. So if you're not subscribed, make sure you subscribe to this episode of the podcast, to the channel Young Fan Podcast, and like this episode of the podcast as well. Thank you very much for listening to this episode of the podcast. I've said podcast too many times now, and I will see you later. Have a good rest of your day. I'll see you tomorrow for the match reaction of Oxford United versus Gillingham. This has been the Young Fan Podcast. I'll see you later. Goodbye.